we're going to get started. Tiffany Vale was going to be our moderator. She had to go to an event in Korea, so she asked us to please apologize for that. But we're going to have Brad be the moderator, and he'll introduce our speakers.
Unnecessary introductions, but we'll be formal with it. We'll start down with you, Mackenzie. 2015, Mackenzie and her husband Colby founded Thread, a business that sells carry accessories online in thousands of retail locations around the U.S., Canada, Japan, and Latin America. Based in Provo, their goal is to empower individuals to carry on through both the products they sell and the lifestyle they promote. Since the early days, Mackenzie gravitated towards marketing aspects of their business and was a CMO until the spring of 2021, when she stepped back to pursue personal projects and to focus on family. In the years that she was CMO, Thread was ranked one of the fastest growing companies in Utah, appeared twice on the Inc. 500. Mackenzie is a Forbes 30 Under 30 alumni and was recently recognized as one of Utah business leaders of the year. Mackenzie is a fearless advocate for women's equality and bettering lives of minority individuals in the state of Utah. And when she's not with her family or working on her own business, you can find her mentoring, cheering on, and championing other female entrepreneurs. Mackenzie, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Mr. Josh Mendenhall in the middle here. Josh, co-founder of Spilt, a Utah native who spent over 20 years shaping brands like Pop Sockets, The North Face, and Post. In 2022, he conceptualized Spilt, reimagining chocolate milk for adults and winning the New York Milk launch. What began as a single-store debut launch in 2024 has, in just a year and a half, grown to a nationwide coverage, making Spilt one of the fastest-growing beverage brands in the country. Before Spilt, Josh served as Chief Creative Officer at Pattern and Creative Director at Entrada, helping scale these companies from early stage to multi-billion-dollar successes. At the heart of it all, Josh credits his wife, Kristen, and the 3 kids, the inspiration and backbone of Spilt, for encouraging him to chase big dreams and build something lasting. Josh, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Mark Brown. Mark is with Ann Coller. Mark graduated from Utah Valley University with a degree in finance and worked for different roles in Ann Coller since its inception. He's currently the COO, CFO, and VP of Finance. That's a tall hat you're wearing there.
I'm so glad I don't have your job.
Yeah.
Marketing Analyst 1 is my new title.
He did note it says VP of Finance on LinkedIn because he's too lazy to change it, which is fair. He's lived across 6 states, 7 countries, 4 continents, and he, along with everyone else in the late 20s, has recently picked up running. He is the #1 fan of U.S. men's soccer national team, self-declared. Thank you, Mark, for being with us today.
Hey, hang out with you more.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So,
Do you play soccer with Colby too in the mornings?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Not as good as him, but
He is really good.
her husband's very good at soccer. He embarrasses me, and every morning we play together.
that's a club I'll never get invited to. That's fine. So today's panel is really focused on building moats around brands and products, being able to differentiate your brand and hold off competitors. So we're going to start by going back to kind of the inception of each of your brands and thinking through where you saw opportunities to differentiate early on, and then we'll get into how you kind of maintain that as you went on. So Mackenzie, let's start with you. Early days of Thread, we were just talking about this. Where did you guys see that opportunity to differentiate from what was out there, and how did you use that to kind of launch what you were doing at Thread?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We should tell the story that you were just talking about. Can we? Or will that embarrass you?
I really hesitate to tell the story, but it does fit in line with what we're talking about today. I'd co-founded a company called Vure, and we were doing every product under the sun, and these cool cats came on the scene doing these really cool wallets, and we thought we could do that. And we tried to do that, and we got shamed pretty quick out of the gates. Whoever was running your social media, and it
was
been
me.
Yeah,
I was running the social media.
absolutely dominated us on social media very, very quickly. We learned a great lesson in the power of doing something very, very well instead of a lot of things okay. But I I do want to hear from your perspective. That might have been one of the
Yeah.
first times you guys encountered someone trying to steal your code.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is I remember that so vividly because we were coming onto the scene. It was like the summer of 2015. And we had gained, Instagram was so new. And it was like we started ideating the product, posting and stuff in 2014. And then 2015 is when we incorporated as a business and really started pushing it and decided to like go all in with it. And we were doing a lot of collaborations, doing influencer marketing, and really jumping on that trend. And someone from Vue reached out to us and was like, we should do a collaboration. Like, we should do like a giveaway together. And I was like, that would be so fun. Let's do it. And then they ghosted us. And
That wasn't me, by the way.
someone from marketing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that sucks. Like, that would have been so fun. Like, because they were bigger than us at the time. And then a few months later, they came out with an elastic wallet. And I was like, it all makes sense. And I remember commenting or someone said, I can't, like on one of our posts or their posts. I wonder if it still exists. I think it was on your store account, like your display. You posted a display of the elastic wallets.
We buried everything related to that.
You buried them. That's so funny.
Pretty quickly.
But someone said, like, I commented, now I would never make a comment like this on a post, but I was like, well, we filed for a patent for this, so as soon as we get the patent, like, we will be coming after you. And someone was like, yeah, good luck with that. Like, not from your team, but someone, like, a customer from Vue was like, patents don't do any, I don't know. It was like, that doesn't mean anything. But we did get our patents for it, and it has been the moat around our brand. And that, I think, has been what we've done to differentiate our products is we have tried on all of our products we weren't the first wallet around. Like, what we noticed when we started developing our products, like, we saw a trend and we went after it. My husband was spending a lot of time on Kickstarter for a class and noticed that minimalist wallets were taking off on Kickstarter. But all of them lacked personality and design and expression. And he was like, I love brands like Stan Socks, Neff Headwear, Skull Candy that have taken something really boring and made it really expressive and fun. So we're like, okay, we're going to see what other people have done and make it our own. So that's what we did. And then I added the keyring on it. So we saw something and then we twisted it and made it our own. And once we saw that people were buying it, we filed for a patent. And that's pretty much what we've done with every single product that we are able to get a patent on. Some of our products, like this slouchy bag, like it's not any much different than other products that are out there. But products that we've released that are different, like our Aqua Sling, our crossbody bag, that have a different functionality that we've noticed a trend, and then we say we should do something like that, but make it different. We apply for a patent, and that has saved our butts in so many instances. Like, we have filed cease and desists against very large corporations, Walmart, Steve Madden, like big brands, and we've won in a lot of them. And so if you are wanting to create a product, don't just knock someone off verbatim. Like, make it different, because then you can protect yourself. And it doesn't even have to be like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Make it 10% different, 20% different, and then make your branding different. Like, chocolate milks existed, right? But the caffeine, the branding, everything is your brand. Like, people are going to know what's spilt. And so there's many ways to build a moat, but knowing how to, just knowing when to patent a product and how to do that has been really important for us.
Thank you. And honored to be one of the first goons to try and take a stab at.
And you know what's funny is that the majority, we've gone after some big dogs with our cease and desist, but so many of them have come from Utah. Utah is like a cesspool for, I see a good idea, I'm going to copy it. And so it's kind of funny that the the majority of the cease and desist letters and the things that we have to go after are like right in our backyard, and companies that it's like, dude, you're right down the street from us. Really?
Starts in this room, guys. We can do
We-
better. Okay.
I know
We
you
can be
ordered
better.
from us a month ago. I can see it right here in Shopify. Like, and I know that you saw the thing that says patent ID number on the card. Like, do better.
Well, that's a good transition into, Josh, your experience. And thank you for that. Patents and being able to protect legally what you've invested a lot of time and sweat to build it's hard, but worth it.
And expensive.
And expensive.
And if you get the patent, like our thing has been like, you have to be willing to defend it.
Yeah.
Because if you have a patent and you don't defend it, then you have no legal case for it when you are ready to defend it. If you have
Good
patents
point.
and you go 5 years without doing for it, and then some big dog comes and copies you, and then you're like, okay, we're ready to defend it, the legal system's going to look at you and be like, well, there's all these competitors that have come out, and you've never done anything about them. So you don't really have a case to stand on now at this point. But so that's why we've been very prompt about trying to cease and desist. And
Love
it's
that.
expensive, but we're going to defend what we've spent money and time to protect and build.
Love that. Josh, this is a more recent journey for you guys as Spilt, but tell me about both the other days of recognizing the opportunity. And I mean, you walk in any place where Spilt is being sold, and that is a very competitive and crowded space to be with a lot of big dogs in that space.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you guys have differentiated there.
Yeah, so kind of the early days, how it came to be, it was 2022, early 2022. During COVID, I worked for a company called Pattern. They're awesome, fantastic company, and like you mentioned earlier, I was the chief creative officer, so I got to work with big brands, Pop Sockets. You named Pop Sockets, Sorel Boots, North Face, Black Diamond, Post Cereal, and so I was like, and I love it. I love working with brands, building brands, especially on the creative side. And I was at home because it was during COVID, so I'm like sitting at my desk, and I have a chocolate milk on my desk, and then I have this little caffeine drink, and I hold them up together. And this angels sing, pretty much. And I was like, why is this not a thing? Like,
Just mixing Red Bull with chocolate milk.
well, I
and-
actually
yeah,
thought, I'm like, oh man, this has got to be so easy. This has got, you like feed some cows, Monster, whatever. I don't know how it works. But I'm like, this has got to be the easiest thing ever. So literally like that day, I get on LinkedIn and I say, hey, does anyone know any dairy farmers? Thinking it's going to be that easy. And someone like tags somebody who was the CEO of Dairy West, which is part of DFA, Dairy Farmers of America. And I was like, bingo. Like, okay, cool. So then I reach out to her and I said, hey, I have this idea. And she responds and she says, oh man, that sounds like a really interesting idea. Can we talk next week? And I said, of course. And you have to remember, like, this idea just barely came to me. So I spend the next week coming up with this brand. It wasn't Spilt at the time. But I come up with this brand and I start mocking it up on cans. I mock it up of people like drinking it. And we meet. And I have a website built and everything, and we meet. And she's like, this is amazing. Where can I buy it? And I'm like, no, this is fake. Like, this is just my idea. And she's like, okay, I'm going to help you out. I want to get you connected with other people in dairy. She connects me with a lot of people from Dairy Farmers of America. There's tons of these at different organizations, but this is the one that she's really well connected with. I learn a ton. I go through this accelerator program with them. I learn a lot about cows, learn a lot about everything in dairy, which I had no idea about. And someone from DFA is like, hey, there's this competition called New York Milk Lunch. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll totally apply. You know, and they call me at the end of this accelerator program with DFA, and they say, hey, we'd love to have you join. And I'm like, cool. Like, what's the competition look like? And they say, we need a 30-second spot, like a commercial. I'm like, perfect. This is my wheelhouse. I can help with that. And we need 50 cans. And at this point, I still didn't have anything. And I told them, like, I don't have a product yet. And they're like, oh, dude, dang it. Let's get you on, like, the next one. I'm like, wait, tell me when you need it. So they tell me, I'm like, I got it. I'm going to figure this out.
How much time did they give you?
It was about 3 months. And, okay, this is a thing that I don't tell people. But on my way to Pattern, there was this quick quack being built, like the car wash. And it said when it was going to be open. And it was at that same time. And I'm like, if they can freaking build a car wash in this same time, I can put chocolate milk in a can and put caffeine in it. And I remember driving by it every morning and being like, I got this. So that was like my motivation. So anyway, I figured out, we send out 50 cans. They needed 50 cans. I'm going to tell you how much each can cost. It was about $1,000 a can. Yeah, it was crazy. And I remember telling my wife, because I was like, so what, do you want to buy a boat? We had just barely had someone offer me money from Entrada to buy back some of my equity at the point. So we had some money, which never happens. And I said, do you want to buy a boat or like double down on this chocolate milk thing? She's like, go for it. So 50 grand, we build 50 cans. And we send them out, and we win this competition. I win $150,000. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. It kind of validated everything. We put all that money back in. We sold it online a few times, just through like Instagram on a Shopify site. And the last time we sold about $60,000 worth of product in 12 hours. And at that point, we're like, well, we got to hold on. We got to make sure we got everything buttoned up. My co-founder, Nick Greer from Built at that time, came on. And he's like, pause. We're going to dial in everything before we launch this thing. So we took a year. We dialed in all the ingredients. We dialed in like our cogs, every bit of it. And then we launched in 2024 March 2024 in Harmons. And it was awesome. And they were the first people to get it. And they had it for about a month before some other retailers came on. And it's been awesome ever since. But you talk about like, chocolate milk's been around for a long time. Yeah, we made it a little bit different. But my thing is like, anybody can really put caffeine in chocolate milk. How are we gonna distance ourselves from that competition? I don't want to sell chocolate milk. I want to sell a brand. I want people wearing the merch. I want people to be like so in love with the brand that it's like emotional to them. They're like, when I drink this, it makes me feel like a kid. And people say that. Like people when they drink it, they're like, this makes me feel like a kid. So it's not about just this chocolate milk that has 20 grams of protein and 90 calories and a little caffeine. It's about like this emotional feeling, connection that you get with it. And how do we build a brand that people love and they can feel part of and they connect with it? And that's going to be our differentiator, I feel like. So that's kind of how it started.
I want to put a pin in that because community and really building awareness for a brand, building power in a brand, is the other side of that coin, other than kind of legal ramifications of how you do build that moat. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's turn to you for a second, Mark. And Caller, also a very crowded category.
Oh yeah, and very similar to Mackenzie. A lot of Utah companies, yeah, ever since we started, have popped up, come and gone.
How have you created justice for yourself and keep that moat wide?
Yeah, well, Ben's a great fighter, the other co-founder, so we show up at doorsteps late at night.
As a warning for everyone in this room.
Yeah.
Somehow they know where you live.
Yeah,
The
Shopify.
nicest
Yeah.
guy in the world,
Yeah.
Ben. Just like
He's
showing
like,
up at your
please
doors.
stop. Yeah.
Please don't do it. Please.
But yeah, I think original days of Caller, it was just a college project. That's how it started. So we all have the marketing and business classes where it's like, hey, go start this imaginary company. And Ben came up with the idea, and we were taking a lot of the same classes. And so we said, hey, let's throw our collective $500 to go get a prototype, and we can bring it to classes, and that'll be like a fun thing to do through college. And so contacted. It is very simple. It's crazy how easy it is to get good products, especially textiles from China in today's day and age, where you go on Alibaba, you kind of type in what you want, you get a couple samples from some manufacturers, go back and forth with them a couple times on WhatsApp, and you can get yourself pretty much anything you want. So how it started with us is we chose the dress shirt because, for whatever the weddings or at church or, in school, we were wearing these kind of cotton-based shirts, which for us weren't comfy. We played soccer. We play soccer with Mackenzie's husband. He kicks our butts every morning. And we're walking around in the Nike, in the Adidas. But it's like, hey, why can't we just, similar to Josh, where it's like, hey, why can't we combine them? So, we're the ones experiencing the problem first. And so I think that always goes a long way. But through college, got the samples, did a Kickstarter. Wish we could do 60,000 in 12 hours. That'd be awesome. I wouldn't be driving around my dented Volkswagen Jetta right now if we could do that. Launched on Kickstarter, made some funny videos, kind of back in the meta heydays, and just kind of went to town. Like we kind of built the plane as we flew it. learned everything e-commerce, logistics, finance, kind of through college. And then when Ben graduated, he jumped in full time. I told him he was dumb. I said, let's go get real jobs. But that first year and a half, he did pretty well. Kind of I was helping him on the side. Then when I graduated, jumped in full time as well. And it's been a good ride since then. I think we never went the patent route, and I don't think we're as creative as Josh is in terms of the branding route. I think the one thing that we were pretty good at is because we were the one experiencing the problem. We just knew the customer really, really well, and we knew kind of the people, the buyers as well. So like our first big like customer persona, if you will, was like the LDS missionary. Like turns out we picked the best place in the world to sell white dress shirts. That was our very first product. Like per capita, we haven't done the math on this. But it's like there cannot be a place in the world that has like more white dress shirts per capita than Utah. So we picked a good spot. But talking to the buyers, I'm like, whoa, you're a lot like my mom and my friend's mom. So I was like, I know how to talk to you, and I know exactly what your problems are. And the customer that's actually in the mission feels like, oh yeah, I also was there, and I was in a hot environment, and I know kind of all your pain points. And so I think that was kind of our first moat that we discovered. It's like, hey, if you know your customer really, really well and can make the jokes that you know they like, and you can say, oh yeah, you shop around here, and oh, you know so-and-so, or like these are the exact problems you're experiencing, even in a very crowded place, they'll just like you more, and they'll feel an affinity to your brand. And so I think that was the one thing we noticed quickly. Is like, hey, if we can speak to the customer exactly where they are, they'll have an affinity for us. And then I think as the company's grown, we've had to do our homework to say, hey, this is not the LDS persona anymore. Hey, this is, the New York finance guy. This is, we came up with a sub-brand a couple years ago that we sell to pilots. So we sell pilot uniforms, so very similar fabric, just epaulets, eyelets. It's like, oh yeah, I spent weeks locked in my room learning about every single plane that's ever been invented, so I can speak to pilots and pilot training and things like that. Or Hasidic Jews, after the bar mitzvah, they wear a white dress shirt every single day for the rest of their lives. So it's like, oh yeah, I know a lot about Williamsburg, New York right now, and all the good restaurants in those zip codes. So I think that's kind of something we've learned. It's like, hey, you have to be where your customer is and know them really well.
Occasionally, we're going to pause and just see if there's any, as things are fresh, if there's any questions from the audience, we'll take one or two and then move on. So real quick, does anyone have a question they'd like to ask? And we do need to make sure you got a microphone. In fact, well, we're filming, so we want to make sure we hear your voice. So use this if you will.
So my question is about balancing between, as you're designing something, as you're developing something, trying to keep it a little close to the chest to minimize exposure rather than trying to get it out there as quick as possible with the possibility that somebody rips you off quicker than you can. Because sometimes, I guess when you're trying to develop a product, maybe you don't have as many resources as somebody else, but you have a really good idea. So what's your thoughts about how quickly you get it out there? Because, so for example, you developed the Thread Wallet. You said it took you about a year before you patented it, and you took it to people and stuff. Is there a fear that you take that out too quick, and all of a sudden there's going to be 40 people doing that?
Maybe I would be lying if there isn't a fear that could happen. But I think my overall philosophy is that if you have the idea and you start working on it, you're already 10 to 15 steps ahead of anybody else. And so just get moving. And like our little wallet idea, like my dad thought it was stupid. So many people around us were like, this is not going to go anywhere. And so I think any bigger brand that would have thought like what we were doing at the beginning would have been like, man, it's like we're not going to even pay attention to them. They're so little. So it's like I think you should be shopping or like talking about your idea, getting feedback on your idea, prototyping your idea, asking people for feedback, getting it out there as soon as you can. Like when you keep things so close to your chest and you're just like, okay, this is my idea. I'm just going to work on it in my room, private by myself till it's perfect and ready to launch. Like you then take it to launch when you think it's ready and people are going to be like, this isn't what we wanted. This isn't like I wouldn't ever buy this. But then if you're just like, hey, what do you think about this? Then you're getting, well, I don't like the colors. I would use it if it were like this. I would like, oh, I want the keyring on it. Yeah. No, I wouldn't ever use the keyring. Oh, cool. I would love it if it had leather on it. Cool. And then that's when you start switching and changing. Okay, maybe we'll introduce a different model later. And that's where you're like, we're already moving. And we're quick and we're nimble. Those big dogs that are, you know, like even now for Thread, we're still a pretty nimble company because we're smaller, you know, but we've got so many systems and processes in place. It still takes us more time now to launch a product than it did when we first started. Colby and I could have a product because we did all the manufacturing ourselves. We had all the printer, the heat press, the heat cutter, the sewing machine right in our room. Like we could have a product made and figured out to put into a retail location in one day. Now, if we have an idea, we're sampling it with China, and it takes so much longer. So the big dogs, if they see a little guy doing something, it's gonna take them 2 months to get it sampled, manufactured, put back. So just get going. Talk about it, get the idea out there, ask friends. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like, I mean, before coming to this, can I see a raise of hands of who had ever heard of Spilt? Raise your hand if you've heard of it. Okay, I've spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the world to know about Spilt, and then especially here in Utah, and it's like people still haven't heard about it. So sometimes that's like a fear that we have, like, man, if I put it out there, everyone's gonna know. Hopefully, but also it doesn't work that way. Like you just have to go, and I love what you just said. At that stage when you're starting, it's so fast. It's so fast. As you get bigger, you have more hoops to jump through. It becomes a little bit more, there becomes more barriers. So when you think about a big company who's like, hey, we want to do this, it does take a lot more time. But if you want to, I mean, I would never put that as a reason why not to start or not to launch, because you need to start learning as much as possible. I mean, I've talked to big beverage brands who's like, oh yeah, we have your stuff on our desk all the time because we're talking about it. That scares the crap out of me. Like, it's so scary.
Yeah,
It's so scary.
We'll have big retailers be like, "Oh yeah, we've heard about you."
Yeah, and
we
you're
know
like,
who you
oh.
are, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
But also awesome.
yeah, awesome. Yeah.
But also no, like it's yeah.
But at Thread, like we just had a design meeting on the way here. I was on a call for a design meeting for like our first drop of 2027. Like that's where we're thinking. Yeah. You're thinking as an entrepreneur starting a company right now about tomorrow. And so like you're getting a product ready and like out talking about it, like you're working on it right now. So like don't be scared to start talking about it and doing it. Cuz our brains is where we've gotten bigger. We're not there right now, which is like there's pros and cons to that. And we're just not as nimble as we once were.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is like I think there's so much more learning like in the actual iteration loop than there ever is in like the learning phase. Like before you launch a product, we're like, oh, go learn and like do all your homework. And then when you're finally ready to launch it, it's like if you just go through the whole launch process, like that'll teach you so much more. And so it's like stack on those iterations like as fast as humanly possible, because there's so few things that are actually one-way doors. I feel like I found like the only one that I can think of is like launching in big box. Like if you have like a big retail partner, like usually those are pretty close to one-way doors. But like there's been so many things that we've launched on Endcaller that have been busts, and then we just kind of never tell anyone about it again. Or it's like, oh yeah, we just don't bring it back, and no one ever knew, and like no one cares. Or like we price test all the time, and we think like because we're the founders, like we hyper focus on it. You're like people will care, like people will know. It's like no one cares except for you. So just iterate.
You care and think about your product more than anyone else thinks.
Like my mom doesn't even know. Like my parents, like my best friends are like, "You guys have that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I spent hours thinking about it." You know, it's like
yeah, same.
It's like, yeah. So that's what I was just iterate as fast as humanly possible.
You
like
make laptop cases?
Yeah, we have for years.
For years.
Yeah, you'll learn more from like iterating and failing and succeeding than anything else. Like so, just do that process as fast as possible.
Dude, this is so good. Thank you, guys. So Brad made me limit my questions to one each of you. So this one's for Mackenzie. So on the patenting side of things, what would you tell somebody starting out? What can you do a patent yourself? What have you learned that you would share with a new entrepreneur or a new product person?
I think there's a lot you can do yourself, but we have a good legal team that we work with, and I would recommend just having counsel that you turn to. And we have my brother who does is our CFO at Thread. He's kind of like the point person in house. So if we see like a knockoff or something, we like send him the link, and then he just forwards it over to our legal team, who's I'm blanking on their name right now, which is embarrassing because we have a lunch with them in like a couple weeks. We send it over to them, and they'll say like, okay, we can send a cease and desist. Like they kind of will talk through strategy with us of like, here's what we can do. How do you want us to approach this? Do you want us to wait a little bit to see where it go? Like, I would say that is the best route. And I've had friends that I'm like, you need to get a patent on this. Like if you're the one that invented this, like you need to get a patent on it. And they don't. And then like 3 years down the road, they're like, we have so many knockoffs now. I wish I would have gotten a patent. And I'm like, it's so worth it. Like, just get the patent. Like, it's upfront cost it's an inconvenience, but just go talk to. We have good lawyers. There's so many people that here in the state that are good lawyers. So just go talk to someone. I don't know if that's like the best answer to that question, but I wouldn't do it yourself. Our philosophy at Thread is do what you do best and hire out the rest. So if you are in a place where you can just say, hey, I think this is new, it's innovative, it's got some differentiating features than anything else out on the market. I'm going to have someone do a patent search on it and see where we can go from there. Start there, find a law firm to do it for you, and then you can spend your time and energy marketing the crap out of it and building that customer base and stuff, because I don't think you should be the one trying to handle the legal aspects of a business if you're not a lawyer.
I want to shift the conversation quickly to channel mix as you're growing. As part of expanding that moat and differentiating, it's very easy to get shiny object syndrome and just kind of chase every channel out there. With CPG, there's D2C, there's marketplaces, there's wholesale, there's international. Where, as you guys look out 2-3 years down the road, you said you're already planning for 2027. I'd love to hear your guys' insights on where are you investing right now, right? Where do you see those opportunities to continue growing, but also differentiating within those channels and not, being half-hindered as you get in there, but make sure you can really capitalize on gaining and keeping market share within those channels. Now, if we start with you, Josh, you've got kind of a unique, yeah.
So the channel that we focus most on right now is retail, and I think it's always going to be that channel. And the reason why is just if you think about the last time you bought a drink, it's at Maverick or it's at Smith's or Harmon's or wherever. So that's where people shop. Do we do stuff on Marketplace? Yes. So my background again at Pattern, working with brands specifically on Amazon, it's a great place for us to test because it doesn't cost us nearly as much, right? We don't have to invest in a ton of inventory to fill up everyone's shelves and pay slotting fees to get something on there that's going to be a bust. And so when we think about our testing channel, it's going to be a marketplace like Amazon, Walmart.com, because we get a lot faster feedback than just in retail. But where we're focusing is on where our customers are at. And in large store, so that's grocery, and then small format like convenience stores.
And a quick piggyback to that, as you guys are thinking about retail, there's different kind of podiums within that circle of retail. There's your smaller shops, there's franchise, you get into mass retail.
Yep.
Thinking through your strategy about when and where.
Yep, for sure.
How does that?
So there's in retail, we would consider there 3 or 4 different channels. So you have small format, that's convenience. Then you have large format, which is grocery. Big box, which is Walmart and club like Sam's, Costco. And I think what we're trying to do is we want to make sure retail, large format, so grocery, that's where most people are going to be shopping on a regular basis. So the thing that we're trying to do is make sure that we have a very strong base in retail. Convenience is more for trial. People buy one for one. They go in once, they buy what can. Large format, they're going to go in once and buy a 12-pack. Club will be they go in once and they buy a 15 pack. But what we're really trying to make sure that we build out solid is that large format, and build out our pricing and build out our price package planning. What does it look like on the shelf before we start going into Costco? Like right now we're in Costco business centers. We've talked to Costco, we've talked to Walmart, and those aren't very far away. But the main thing, our main thing that we try to keep the main thing is large format at this point. I don't think it's going to be too far until we transfer over to like a club strategy, but that's like the thing that we're trying to really figure out. But the step below that is actually marketplace, where we test. Do people like it? What's the repeat? What's the subscription? Perfect. This is not an LTO anymore, like a limited time offer. This is a core product. So,
Love that. Mark, where are you guys leaning in as you think channels over the next few years?
Yeah, we're everywhere except international. Like international brings a bunch of complexity with taxes and payment processing and ops. But domestically, we're everywhere. So we're all marketplaces, D2C, and then any retail that'll take us pretty much. So we're actually kind of in shiny object mode right now, which I think there's like time and place for it, right? Where it's like, hey, sometimes when you want to grow, like you just got to chase things. And then kind of as you understand what's getting signal and what's not, you can kind of come back in. So right now we're like, hey, if you own a mom and pop store in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, we'll sell to you. And if you're the Costco buyer, we'll also sell to you. Obviously, one of those will get a little more attention than the other. But I think the way I think about it, and we talk about it internally, is you have like your sales channels, which we think of like the conversion side, right? Like that's bottom of funnel. Like, hey, where are they gonna actually purchase from you? But marketing channels is where we're spending most of our time thinking about like, hey, where do you allocate budget? Because that's filling top of funnel, I think, for all channels, right? I think like most D2C brands were so hyper-focused on Meta and online sales kind of from 2018 to 22. But now that people are more omni-channel from a sales perspective, a lot of marketing channels are getting mixed. It's like, hey, when someone walks into the regional department store or the mom and pop store or shopping on Amazon or on your website, like how do they end there? It's like, it doesn't really matter. Like they're there, but you have to, I think the more important question that we're focusing on now is like marketing mix from like a top of funnel perspective, rather than like, hey, where are they buying? It's like, hey, how are they hearing about us? I think that's the most important thing, because it's so difficult to separate kind of sales channels, because I think you just have to be everywhere. I think that's kind of going to be table stakes. Like, I don't think there's only going to be Amazon brands or only retail brands or only D2C brands, at least for clothing. Anytime, so like I think those days are kind of dead and gone.
When you crack the code on that, let us
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Well, I won't let you guys know. It'll be a secret. Yeah.
Mackenzie, you guys have, and really early on, had a huge wholesale presence, and I know it's grown since. I'd love to hear about kind of how you guys view channels, and again, where you're leaning into maybe even more so as you think about the next year or two.
Yeah, right now we're still focused a lot on wholesale growth. We really started pouring fuel to that fire in 2020, which was kind of crazy because that's when COVID hit. We like had our first rep summit in January of 2020. We were like, yeah, let's go. We're gonna scale wholesale, and then everything shut down. And we're like, wow, this is gonna be crazy. And then it kind of played to our favor because we had so much inventory then, because we were like inventory heavy for wholesale, but then everyone was at home buying online, so then we were prepared for all of that. But yeah, we've really scaled wholesale. We're in probably like 2,000 doors nationwide, whether it's mom and pop, like specialty boutiques, skate shops, surf shops, and then bigger Shills, REI, Tilly's, Urban Outfitters, Free People Movement, stores like that. But more big box is kind of like on the horizon. We're looking at places like Target, and then international, where we started in Canada, and then we're in Japan, places in Latin America with like strong kind of surf beach culture, because that's very close to like what we've seen in Southern California, Florida, Hawaii, kind of replicates the surf beachy lifestyle that we see here in the States. So places like Costa Rica, Argentina, Colombia, and then we're looking at Australia, because that is also very similar. And then places in Europe, the EU, but that will be like farther, probably in the next like 2 to 3 years. So really focusing on that international section, that will be something really fun that we're looking forward to. But I think something that I've loved here is just be where your customers are. Like really show up for them. And I don't know if you guys listened to How I Built This, but I listened to the one recently with the founder of Crumble. And I liked something that he said because it kind of speaks to both what I've said about legal things to build that moat around your brand. But he was talking about the lawsuit that they had, and Guy Raz asked him, like, was it worth it? And he kind of said, I don't know if it was. Like, in hindsight, I wish, and we've had situations like this even legally where it's like, we spent a lot of money on that. And maybe it was good, maybe it didn't work out. And he said that your competitors aren't the ones buying from you. Your customers are. And the lawsuit that Crumble had was really, really, really expensive. They spent a lot of money on that. And I think hindsight, he was like, we could have spent that money pouring into our customers, who are the ones that are actually purchasing from us, and we probably would have yielded better results than just defending the product and our trademarks and things like that. And so I think that is something that's really important, is this idea of knowing what defenses you're putting up. Okay, we have this moat, and maybe that is our trademarks and our patents, but then we also have to defend the brand, and the brand is our customers. And maybe instead of this time around putting money into the legal stuff, we're going to take this 20 grand, 30 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is, and we're going to put that into customer activations. We're going to invest in retail partnerships to explode this national account, because that's going to pay off more than defending this legally. Because I think really showing up for your customers and being where they are is so important. We're in IFA, which is kind of crazy, like middle of nowhere, small towns, and I think people would be like, IFA, that's not Thread. But for so many people, that might be the only touch point they have with Thread ever. But they're our customers still. They're active, they're adventurous, they're outdoorsy, they're fun, they're youthful, and they exemplify the brand. So why would we not show up for them there? And so don't write off experiences or retail shops or whatever it is just because you're like, it's not IFA. But they've been a great partner. They pay, there's great benefits to being in business with them. And I think sometimes investing in those relationships and investing in the customers, whether it's a wholesale partner, a retail partner, whatever it is, the customer themselves can go a long way in protecting the brand.
Thank you. We'll take a quick break for 1 or 2 questions, and I've got one last question for each of you before we wrap things up. Any quick questions?
Thank you, and thank you for being here, all three of you. I use all three of your products. I'm not a milk drinker, but I have 4 boys that do, so thank you. I also have 4 boys that I sent on missions, so I have 1 million of your shirts. I mean, literally, I don't know 1 million, but I have. Anyway,
What feels like 1 million.
Thank you.
it
Yeah.
feels like it, like I'm always, and even after they return, they keep buying them. So, and of course, I know you, Mackenzie and Kobe, for a few years, and I really value the influence that you have here locally in Utah, although your outreach is beyond the state of Utah. You have done a great work to represent our business community here locally and beyond. You all have worked very hard on names and your name recognition, your brand, and your product. Is there a point in your life, in your professional life, where you say, okay, this community has been so good to me. My schooling has been, a great training ground. My employees. In what way do you give back? In what way do you sort of say, because of you guys, we enjoy the success that we have. Now it's time for me to give back. And is that in your plans, or is that in your philosophies?
You guys want to go first? I can go.
Carry on's way cooler than anything we're doing.
Well, carry on's Colby's thing. He speak to that? Yeah, my husband Colby started a foundation called the Carry On Foundation, and it's a organization that helps youth with mental health skills through skateboarding. So that's been really cool. And then me personally, I honestly, I didn't know if I'd say this, but I was surprised that I didn't have my invite rescinded to come here to speak for Silicon Slopes, because I called them out publicly a few weeks ago on social media for having only 2 women nominated in the Hall of Fame awards out of 39 finalists. And I, yeah, I have really become a champ. Like I read in my bio, that was read in my bio. I've really become a champion for women here in Utah. I know what it's like to be building a business as a female founder. I know the comments that can be made as a female founder. I have 3 daughters. And when I gave birth to my oldest and then my second, we didn't find out the genders. So every time when the baby was born and it's another girl, I've just felt this call that I grew up in the state that like, wow, I really owe it to this beautiful place to make this a better, safer place for women. So many studies and things have shown that this hasn't been the best place for women historically, but I believe that it can be. And so I've just dedicated so much of my time and energy to helping women start their businesses here. I think it is a phenomenal place to start a business. There's so many resources. There's so many incredible mentors and people who are advocating for women. So I have a mentoring and like a networking group called Female Founders Only, and we host monthly networking activities. We travel together. Lindsay back there has been on one of them to Morocco. We've been to Bali, Morocco, Costa Rica, and just provide really unique opportunities for women to travel together and experience and network and grow and learn. And I hope that over the coming years, Utah becomes like known for how amazing it is for women, and that we are known for how great we are at supporting female entrepreneurship. And that's kind of where I'm like planting my flag. I want to see us ranked as like 40th for women's equality, not dead last. Like if over the next like 5 to 10 years we can make that leap, I would be so excited.
Yeah. So for me, so we've been doing this for like 18 months. But when we first started, that was like a big hope for us, is like, how can we be able to do this? And so we have some really big hopes as this gets larger. How can we help the community here? But for me personally, like I don't really love coming and talking to these things because I'm so busy. But I came to them. I mean, my whole career growing up, here it was. I was in tech, and so I came to these kind of events, and I heard a lot of people speak, and it just kept trying to ignite something for me to be like, hey, go start something. And there were a lot of different pieces. I hope that I can participate in these things more, even if I'm just talking about chocolate milk. Like, hopefully it's something that someone, and that's what I'm hoping to do personally, is just be an advocate, kind of help people, inspire people to go start something, go do something crazy. So
cool.
Yeah, transparently, it's something I probably should think of more. I think because Color is a very young company in terms of the employees. I think sometimes we get caught up in like, oh, we have nothing to give. Like, we're broke and we're dumb. But I think as we grow, I think the thing that me and the co-founder have talked a lot about is like, hey, if you can make Color a successful business, like your employees, you can give them like a great experience, and like, hey, give them an opportunity to grow, give them an opportunity for financial freedom, and say, hey, where you want to be in 5 years. And I think that's the coolest thing about business, is like, hey, you can provide that opportunity for everyone that you employ. And so I think that's probably the thing that we'd like to do the most, because I think that's independent of how well your company's doing or not doing. It's like, hey, you can provide an awesome experience for the people that work for you, help them become their best, and hopefully that kind of starts a chain of events in their personal lives. So I think that's how, more than anything, what we think about. And like, hopefully, if we have an awesome, outcome in a couple of years, yeah, there's enough money to donate or do things like that. But I think just helping people where they are, like from the employee side, is something that we talk a lot about.
I think just being a good person. Like, you're a good person, and Ben is a good person. Like, I think, like, anytime we've asked for donations, like, from product or whatever, like, you guys show up and have shown up and supported and come to, like, carry on things or whatever it is. So I think that just being a member of the community and, like, showing up at these events is sometimes, if you don't have the money, these are the things that are very impactful.
Great lead into what I'll have be our final question for each of you. And that is, as a founder, one of the hardest things to do is to maintain that balance of investing your time and resources in a growing company that is fantastic, but also protecting your own. We all like to say that we don't live to work, we work to live. But doing that as a founder can be really, really challenging. So in the spirit of building moats around the things that we want to protect, what advice would you have for founders, no matter what stage they're at, to protect, whether it's faith, family, things like that, as you grow a business? How do you make sure that at the other end of that, you still have intact the things you work so hard to maintain? Who gets to go first with that one? Thanks, Mark, for volunteering. Appreciate it.
I'll raise my hand and say I'm not very good at this as well. I think it's different though. Like I don't have as much experience as Mackenzie and Josh here, but the way I think about it now is life kind of happens in seasons. So I'm in my 20s. I'm not married, and so it's like, oh yeah, if there's a time to push, then it's probably now. And so that's how I think about it, because it's like, oh yeah, when I do have a family, like when those things do come later in life, it's like, oh yeah, that's probably where you want to focus more on creating that moat. But I think for me, now young in my career, it's a lot of blending together more than, separating, where, sometimes I'll go on a run or play soccer with my friends at 2 p.m. in the middle of the day, and that's okay, because I know, like at 8 p.m., I can get on a call or, finish writing up a PO or whatever it is. So I don't have a ton of advice on it, but I think for me, as long as you know kind of what's important to you and what gives you the energy that you need to do, and then telling yourself like, hey, I need to make time for those things. I guess the last thing that just popped in my head is I was reading like a Harvard Business Review study about like happiness, and it's very like interesting because it's very simple, where it's like, oh yeah, if you list the things, like the top 5 things that make you happy, like, hey, I am happy playing golf, or I'm happy. I actually hate golf, by the way. I'm just saying that because that's very popular, I feel like. Like playing golf or spending time with my family or whatever, XYZ thing, cooking. Like, you just make time for that very specifically in your week to say, oh, I know this thing makes me happy, but I don't actually schedule that thing into my week. And so I think that's, for me, it's like, oh, I know these 4 things make me happy. I'm going to make sure I do those 4 things every week. And the rest kind of all fills in.
That's great advice. Josh?
Okay, I'm probably gonna go a little bit off script here, but for me, I feel like there's so much noise. There's so much pulling you. I mean, I get emails, texts. Hey, we can help you. We can do this. We can do this. And it's like, wow, there's so many different things, and I can go do a million different directions. But if I can keep the main thing, and for me, the main thing is God. Like, that's gonna take up a lot of my time, right? And then my family, then spilt. If things get flipped upside down, then all of a sudden that spilt becomes top, and all of a sudden there's just noise everywhere. It's very hard to keep the main thing. For me, I want to start this company so I can help people have jobs. I mean, a lot what you were just saying with keeping your employees happy, providing like financial freedom for them, experiences. But that has nothing to do with like the company spilt. That becomes because what I believe in helping individuals, helping people. But if I can keep that focus on those things, there's so many different distractions, but let that first thing, God, be the first thing for me, it takes away so much more. And I tell kids and youth all the time, like, do that first. and then you'll see these distractions. You'll see a focus on all these different areas with your friends, with your family, with your work, that will just align because you're not distracted by a million different things. So just remembering what the main thing is for me, but also with my family, like they're very involved. I love when I come home. My kids are a little bit older, you know. I have one that just came home from a mission, one that's a senior, one that's a 9th grader. And when I have like a little note on my desk that says, "You got this, Dad," it's like, all right. Like I got it, you know. But they feel like they're in it with me. When we develop new products, and it's like, "Hey, you guys got to try this," and they get to be like, "Dude, I just tried horchata spill. Like, come on, it's so awesome." They're part of it with us, and it's not like, "Hey, Dad's doing his thing, you guys do your thing." It's like, no, this is kind of an us thing. So, and from the early days, it very much was. As it gets bigger, it gets a little bit harder to do that, but I still try my best to keep them involved so my priorities don't get out of whack.
Thank you. Mackenzie.
I just say ditto to those two things, both of what's been said. And then I would add, I've just learned to say no. I think for the longest time, I felt like I needed to say yes to everything or I would miss an opportunity. And then I've just realized that, like, if I don't go to that networking event, I'm going to be okay. And my business is going to be okay. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and Thread's still going to like have sales coming in, you know, and we're fortunate to be in that position now. But I protect my evenings. Like, my evenings are so cherished. Like, that's the time where I'm with my family. That's when I get to go to dinner with a friend. Like, I rarely say yes to work things in the evenings now. There's so many invites to like networking events at night, and I rarely say yes to those anymore because I'm like, that's when I get to put my girls to bed. That's when I get to lay down with them at night and talk to them about their days, and I'm sick of missing those. I feel like last year I was gone a lot in the evenings, and this year I was just like, I'm not doing that anymore. So when I get invites, I just say, I'm so sorry, I'm protecting my evenings, like, thanks for the invite, and I just say no. And hope that people give me grace when I do, because I'm just done with them.
Thank you, all three of you, for saying yes to this opportunity, being here with us today. This chapter is really about founders getting together and creating support for one another. You guys know firsthand how hard it is to grow a business. There are a lot of variables outside of your control, and I think one of the things we hope this chapter creates is more control over the variables that you can control. And so thank you each of you for coming and sharing your experience with us. Let's give these guys a round of applause. And Mackenzie was kind enough to bring some samples to hand out, so I'll let you
I don't know how I'm gonna do it though.
pick and yeah.
Do like a Q&A, like you ask people what people said or something, like question if people were attentive.
Just grill them. Just grill them, make sure. But thank you for bringing those things. We'll end the panel there, but please, as you have time, feel free to stick around, network a little bit more. That's what this is for. And we look forward to seeing you guys in October. Thank you.